All right, it is time. This is the Infinite Investment Game. I'll talk about alternative investments and collectibles. And today I'm continuing sports card talk. And before I go on, please like, comment, and subscribe. And this is not particularly investment advice, but hopefully you can learn from this video and become a better collector. And if you want to invest, hopefully a better investor in sports cards as well. So the topic I want to talk about is a brief overview of the set 1957 Topps Basketball. This is the second ever official release for basketball product. Basically over almost a decade later. So 1948 Bowman, which the star rookie first ever superstar was George Mikan, who played for the Minneapolis Lakers. And then 9 years later, it came out with 1957 Topps. And this is the only set Topps came out with until 1968 test. So 57 Topps and then 68 test was the next set. In between that is 1961 Fleer, but it's a different company at that time. So I'm gonna start off. So this is it's the first set where you had like the regular cards. For regular card sizes, these were paper cards. On the back, you normally had, player's age, weight, how many years they were a pro, what college they went to, where they were from, and then maybe stats on the back, either career or just that season on the back, and then just like a description of the player. And this basically became the start of, what we see in basketball cards, where you have the picture of the player and then you have the stats on the back and description of the player. Basically the other attributes. So why is this set important? Well, not only is the second release, it has a key rookie card of Bill Russell, and I'll go into his cards and power reports. He's one of the best big men to ever play the game.
When talking about the greatest Celtics of all time, Bill Russell should be one of your first two people that come to your mind. He did what no player would ever do in NBA history, and that is winning 11 championships. And his last two were as a player coach. His knowledge of the game is just on another level. Like, he's one of the best defenders and rebounders of all time. He averaged 22.5 rebounds per game for his career. This guy gave Wilt Chamberlain, the man who scored 100 points in a game, headaches when they played against each other. And the referees who officiated Bill Russell's game said that he probably averaged 6 to 8 blocks a game, since blocks were not a recorded stat back in his time, which sounds unreal. And that is another reason why it's so hard to compare players like Bill Russell, because the era was so different. Russell was one of those players whose impact goes beyond the stat sheet. He was basically a point center on those Celtics teams. Like, he would orchestrate the offense and was their anchor on defense. Players who even played with him would say that he would rebound the ball and immediately get it precisely where it needed to start the break. Then he would run the floor like a gazelle. You can say it's mandatory to have him as a top 10 player of all time.
Especially historically, he won 11 rings, and he was very successful as a coach. He won as a player and a coach. Basically, cards are fully colored with mixed action shots and player portraits. A good portion of them were double printed, with the remainder being short printed. And then every card is considered their rookie card, since it was the first really major basketball release. The 48 Bowman wasn't considered like a major release. It was more of like a test to see, would it kind of catch on. Most people thought it was worthless, so they really didn't make it official. Centering for this set is actually a pretty big issue. It's hard to, this came out in a time when centering wasn't really a big thing. They didn't have grading, so centering is just very off with this. And then PSA has graded a lot. I think it averaged at least 250 of each card. It has 80 cards in this set. I'm not gonna go over every player, but I'm gonna mention a couple of people before I go into the specifics of some players. So yeah, Frank Ramsey, Carl Braun, Andy Phillip. Also in this set, 22 of the players are Hall of Famers. You have Neil Johnston, Bill Sharman, I won't be covering him, John Kerr, Cliff Hagan. A lot of these guys are like Knicks, Boston Celtics, a few from the Hawks. All right, so the first card I'm going to go over is 1957 Topps Bill Russell, number 77. So I own a Bill Russell card, but it's a PSA 1. His cards are super expensive. His investment grade card, I would say, is probably a PSA 4, PSA 5, or SGC 4 or 5. As far as the price guide here, a 9 has not sold, so the highest one is at 8.5, is valued around $630,000. PSA 8, $185,000. PSA 7.5, $121,500. PSA 7, $50,400. PSA 6, $22,500. And PSA 5, $15,000. So you're gonna be spending a lot of money on these cards. So when it comes to like a PSA 8, you can have like about 30 cards. Well, actually 3. So before I go into, I can go ahead and go into the population report now. PSA 4, you have 196 cards. And then that's the highest one, and the second highest number is PSA 6 is actually 158. PSA 9s, there's only 3 PSA 9s. And then PSA 8s, there's 48. PSA 7s is 88. So keep that in mind. There's like 9 authentics. Yeah, like a PSA 1 sells for about I disagree. When I bought mine, I spent a lot of money for it, but around $1,000. One of those has not sold in a while, but I would say probably around $4,000 to $5,000. And next, Bobcousy. He was another player who was on the Boston Celtics. If you didn't know, at the time, Bill Russell was the best player in the league, pretty much, especially in the 50s. When you got to the 60s, it was Will Chamberlain. But if you didn't know, Bobcousy played on the same team as Bill Russell. Bobcousy is the first ever MVP, I believe. And he's had multiple All-Star MVPs when All-Star MVP really meant something. And he averaged, I think the 1956 season, 20.6 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7.5 assists. He was actually a really good passer, even for today's standard. But he was the best point guard in the league who played for Boston, and then, you know, at the time, and then Bill Russell's best center. So I had the best center and point guard. But there were only like 8 teams, I think, at the start for the leagues. So his PSA 8.5 is $70,000. His PSA 8 is $52,900. And there's a major drop where his 7 and 7.5 are around $5,000. His 6 is around $2,000, and his PSA 5 is around $1,650. I mean, he's old. He's in his 90s. There is a PSA 9. There's 3 of them. And then there is 35 PSA 8s. There's 120 PSA 7s. And there's 203 PSA 6s. So that's why the PSA 7 is more the investment grade in a sense. And then, yeah, I mean, you get a PSA 1 for $500, or roughly $400 to $500. And then, you know, PSA 3 to 5 is around $1,000, 6 around $2,000, 7 is around $4,000. And yeah, I mean, a 6 sold recently for $2,000, and multiple other 6s sold for around $2,000. Next is 1957 Topps Bob Pettitt. He at the time, I think, was the best power forward to ever play the game. The card is 1957 Topps Bob Pettitt, number 24, PSA 8. So he was the first player in NBA history to surpass 20,000 points. Also, he played for the Atlanta Hawks. I believe they were Hawks at the time. But the Atlanta team, the Milwaukee Hawks, yeah, that's even worse. And then they relocated to St. Louis in 1956. He is another MVP, same as Bill Russell, same as Bobcousy. His PSA 9 is, I actually had a PSA 8, I believe, of his card. But a PSA 9 is around $12,500. 8.5 is around 7,000. 8 is around 4,000. And if you don't have that much money, you can get a 5 for $300. But I think he's like the third best player that's in this set. Yeah, there aren't many PSA 9s. There's only 2. And then 8, there's 46. 7 is 125. 6, 167. And continue down the line. There aren't that many ones. There's like 6 PSA 1s, which is really interesting. Yeah, and PSA 9, there's 2, none higher. Obviously, PSA 8, there is 46. There are 8 higher, but the other ones have qualifiers. So there's 6 PSA 9s with qualifiers. Next is just getting worse and worse here as far as players. You have 1957 Dolph Hayes. He was one of the better guys in the league at the time. He played for the Philadelphia 76ers for much of his career. He has kind of become a forgotten player, but his PSA 8.5 sells for around $4,800, so around $5,000. 8, $2,450, 9, or a 7.5 around $900. And if you want, you can get a 5 for $135. The issue, I would say, is probably the 8 is the investment grade in a sense. But I think this is more for a collection. And at this point, if you're getting anybody else, you're better off just starting to try to complete a set. And the highest, or this looks like the PSA 6 is the most graded with 115. And yeah, there's 3 qualifiers for PSA 9 and then 2 that are actually perfectly fine. It looks like the 7s and some 8s kind of sell quite often. Next, 1957 Topps Paul Rising, number 10. I think he played for the Warriors. Another very talented player, all NBA team, Hall of Famer type dude. PSA 9 sells for $7,500. 8.5, $2,200. And then PSA 8, $800. If you're gonna try to invest in this, I wouldn't. But I mean, the investment grade technically would be 8.5. But I think it'd be nice having this for a collection. Another great player at the time, very rare, and really just get every card at this for the set and just have a complete set. I think is really nice for this. Yeah, the 9 sold for $13,000. It looks like an 8 sold for $2,000 not too long ago. And we are almost done. The last person I thought was interesting, 1957 Topps Nate Clifton, number 1. So he was a Harlem Globetrotter for a couple years. And then he was also professional baseball. Well, he also played professional baseball for the Chicago American Giants in the Negro Leagues in 1949. He went to the same university as me. This is interesting. He went to Xavier University of Louisiana before turning pro in basketball and baseball, which is quite interesting. I'm thinking I'm gonna add this to my collection. Someone went to the same school as me. His cards are pretty affordable, except for the super high end. PSA 8 seems to be around $11,000, but a PSA 5 is around $325. A 7.5 is $3,500. If you're gonna invest, I guess the investment grade is it's hard to say, but I would say a 7, because that's $250. But the PSA 6 is $700. So the one that has the most is PSA 6, looks like, with 66, and there's only one PSA 9, 13 PSA 8s, and 21 PSA 7s. Yeah, so 8 sold not too long ago for around $10,000 almost, in Heritage Auctions. And then as far as the pop counts, total graded is 19,768 cards graded. There's 577 autographs, and there's 24,154 cards graded for total that are graded for PSA for this set. I mean, I guess the autographs would be nice. There's only one PSA 10 out of all of them, and I think that player is probably a player no one cares about. There's a PSA 10 somewhere. I don't know how you find a card in that great condition, but. And then I should go into pot reports for just like Bill Russell and a few other guys for SGC, because SGC is definitely known for vintage, and I want to include them. And Bobcousy, there's 241 cards total graded. The highest grade is a 7.5. There's 3 of those, and there's 14 7s. The next person is, I mean, there's only really 3 guys investable: Bill Russell, Bobcousy, and Bob Pettitt. Bob Pettitt, 164 of his cards graded. 8.5 is the highest grade for one, and there's 4 8s. And yeah, that's quite a bit of cards. And then Paul Horizon, there's 170 or 107, and the highest is 8.5. And Bill Sharman, there's 108 graded. But yeah, that's the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what else you want to hear from me. Peace.